Hello, hello, hello. This is Els coming to you from Bemis Crafty Corner, and today we're going to talk about some storage, specifically washi storage. Now, I have this great container, and it is almost 2 inches high. This thing is really deep. It's, it's 2 inches deep. It's like 1 15/16 of an inch, okay? It's just shy of that 2 inch mark. And that's great for some of the bigger tapes, the bigger washi tapes. I have some of these like really large ones, and so this deeper container is good for that. However, I find that since I keep my washi tape in here, I don't use it as frequently as I should, and I really do like my washi tape. But I want some place where I can put it on my desk where I can look at like the ones I use the most. I really like this peacock and this key. I like this kind of holographic one. I even like some of these glittery ones. I love this black floral, and I love this one here that looks like tickets, and I like this kind of rose gold colored one. I like this vintage flower. There's a whole bunch of these that I really like, and I would like to use them more in my designing, but it's kind of a pain in the behind to pull this box out. And then, it takes up so much room on my desk, and I can't find a way to really get what I want out of it. And you don't even want to see my other washi container because it's just a 12 by 12 paper box with like washi thrown in it. It's horrible. That's where I keep like my holiday stuff, and it's just a mess. So I'm going to show you how to do a storage solution that I have come up with that is more of a dispenser than just a solution. And it's going to be using this box from the Dollar Tree. This is a $1 box from the Dollar Tree, and I have a dowel here that I had left over from another project, and I've cut that down. And I just cut it so that, it's about a half an inch longer than the box on each side, so like about an inch longer. And I've rounded the edges on this with some sandpaper just so that it's not so sharp. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of hit this real quick with a sanding block there's a little bit of roughness on here. So I will take my sanding block and I'll just kind of sand over this just to get rid of that roughness. Okay, it doesn't take a lot because this is balsa wood and it's usually pretty well finished to start with, but I want to make sure. So I'm just going to go over it a little bit real quick. And like I said, the little sticks, all you have to do is just kind of go in a circle, spin it as you go back and forth, and it just rounds the edge out really nice. Okay, so then I'm going to take this and a ruler, and this little box, I'm going to measure from the outside to the outside and from the top to the bottom. So it is 4 3/4. So I am going to go, I got the one with the star because I'm going to need to mark this and I need to cut it. And it's about 1 3/4. So there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down to about 7/8 of an inch right here. And I'm going to mark this. And it doesn't really matter what I mark it with because it's going to go away anyway. So I'm just going to put a little mark here. And then I'm going to come in over here and do the same thing. We're going to go with 7/8 of an inch. And we want to come in 1 inch from the edge. Which put us right there. Okay. And I'm going to do this on both sides. Both of these long edges. So here and here. Now you can go across this way if you want to, but that doesn't work for the dispenser, but it will work just to store washi, okay? So once I have that done, and I have drilled my holes, and I have my dowels, and everything is set to go, I've sanded this, and everything is ready to go, I am going to gesso this entire piece, okay? And the reason I'm going to gesso it is because it is balsa wood, and balsa wood sucks up paint. And we don't want it to suck up all of our paint. We want to be able to do this, easily. So I'm going to get that done. So I will be doing some gessoing on the item. Now, the other thing that you're going to want to do this are these little pieces right here. And what this is this is the cut strip out of a box of aluminum foil. If you watched my Dollar Tree video, I had bought a box of aluminum foil and I said, I'm going to use this for something. Well, this is the project that I'm going to be using it for. Now be careful because there's little spikes on here on the inside where they stick it into the chipboard on the box. And you're going to just want to use a pair of pliers and press those flat. And then if you can, cut this in half. A pair of wire cutters will do it. Just snip it in half. A good pair of scissors will cut it. But do be careful because this stuff is pretty sharp and I don't want you to cut your fingers. And you can cut this in half. It's not quite the full length of the box, but it's close enough for what we're going to be doing. If you don't have this or you don't want to mess with this, I'm going to show you how to do it with a piece of acetate as well. So if you have some acetate shipping packages or something around, some packaging of some kind that you can use, I'm going to show you how to make the edge with that as well. And then we're going to be painting this and decorating it a little bit, and we're going to be turning this into a fantastic washi tape dispenser. So if you will just wait one moment while I go and get everything gessoed up, I'll come back and we'll get started on the painting. And you may, as an option, you may want to get like a bead that has a big hole that fits your dowel, or you can just use rubber bands. It's entirely up to you. But I'm going to show you both. All gessoed, inside and out, ready to go. Sticks gessoed, ready to go. So we're going to paint this, and I've chosen a nice dark color. I'm just going to shake this up a little bit, and we'll put some on this plate here that we'll be using as a palette. And I'm going to paint the box this beautiful color. And it's probably going to take 2 coats to do this. So I'm going to put 2 coats on here. I'm going to put the first coat on, let it dry, and then I'm going to go ahead and put the second coat on. Now I'm not going to use my heat gun on this, guys, because I don't want this paint to crack. And a heat gun has a tendency to crack the paint. If you're using a heavy body gesso, which I used on this box. So, I'm just going to get the base coat on here. I'm not real worried about the base coat. I just want to get it on there and get that color started. And then I will worry about actually getting on, you know, a nice coat of paint. Making it look pretty. I am also going to be doing some rub-ons on this, just to give it some creation, you know, a little bit more color and make it a little bit more personal. And I'll be covering those with some poly. Now, you don't have to do that if you don't want to. That's just my personal choice. You could just say, you know, no, I'm good. I'm just going to paint it and be done. That is entirely up to you. But because I am going to be doing that, I'm using a flat paint. Okay? Because I'm going to be sealing it. So do take that into consideration when you pick the color and the type of paint that you're going to be using, whether you're going to cover this or not. You may want to put chalk paint on here. That would look adorable. And then, of course, you could always just write on it with some chalk and washi. In case somebody else doesn't know what you know. In case you send somebody in the other room to get it for you. It's the box. It says washi right on the side of it. So I'm going to go ahead and get this painted up. And I'm going to paint the sticks. And once I got all painted, I will be back. And we will move on to the next part of this, okay? So we are done with painting. It is drying still, so we're not going to mess with it just yet. But I have put a coat of extra heavy gesso on here. And then I coated the whole thing in this beautiful blue-green kind of teal color. And I like this color. I am going to be doing some decorating on this box. I'm going to wait for this completely to dry. And what you're not going to see is I'm going to give it about 45 minutes to an hour to completely dry. And then when I come back, we're going to be getting out some things that we're going to be using to decorate the box. And we're going to be getting out some things to finish off the finials, as well as some varnish that I plan on putting on here just to seal everything on. I'm going to be putting the varnish right over my decoration. So I'm going to give this about 45 minutes to dry, and then I'll be back and we will finish this up, and I'll show you how we're going to install our little cutting blades, and how we're going to get this whole thing put together. Okay? We are all painted. We are all dried. I went and did a little touch-up here and there. I had some places where there was a little bit heavy gesso, so I just knocked it down with the sanding block real quick and went back over that with some paint, did a little touch-up around the top, and it is ready to go. Now, I'm going to decorate before I put on my cutting piece, and the reason for that is in case there's decoration under the cutting piece, I don't want to mess with the decoration. So this is the sides of my box, and I'm going to pick the one that I want to have as my front. I'm going to pick this one, and I have some rub-on alphabet letters here. This is in the Heidi font, and I have some rub-on butterflies, and that's what I'm going to use to decorate this. So I'm going to open this up. Go. Get this out of here, and I think what I want to do is I want to just put washi across the front of it, you know, like just in case I forget what this stuff is. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this open, and let's take a look at our letters. All right. So these are rub-on letters. Now these are white. So let's see if I like any of these. If I don't, you know, I'll pick something else. No big deal. Let's see. So, what I'm going to do is very carefully just kind of W, A, S, get the paper off of that. I'm just going to line this up and kind of space it out. Where I need it to be. And then once I have it all spaced out and I kind of, you know, figure out where I'm going to put it on the box. I was going to put washi tape, but I think I'm just going to put washi on it at this point. So I'm going to move these out of the way. I'm going to take my piece of tape and I'm going to attach it once I have my space the way I want it, like it's preset. This needs to be trimmed a little, I think, because I think my H needs to be just a little bit closer. And my A needs to be trimmed. Okay. A, S, H. Once I get all the spacing and everything the way that I want it, what I'm going to do is use the cello tape to pick this up and put it on my box so that I can position it. So I'm just going to press that on there very easily. And then I'm going to put this where I think it should be. Which I think is pretty good right about there, but I'm going to go ahead and measure this a little bit just to make sure. About 2 1/8. It needs to move this way just a hair. So I see I haven't pressed anything down yet. Perfect. Now at this point I can press this down. Alright, and then I'm going to use my stick to apply this because they are rub-ons. I'm going to hold these nice and firm. And by using the cello tape, I'm actually able to put this in the right spacing and get it all even across here and not have to worry. Get this W on. And I am putting this on an uneven surface, so I want to be especially careful here that I'm going over every little spot on these letters. All right, now start down here. I'm just going to start picking this up very, very carefully. Making sure that I got every letter adhered nicely. There we go. And I'm just going to kind of press that down a little bit, make sure that it's there. All right. So we got that on there, and now I'm going to go ahead and use some of these. These are rub-ons as well, and they're butterflies, and I think that'll look kind of cool on here, you know. So I'm going to go ahead and get those put on, and then I will be back to show you the next step. Okay, so I have put my decoration on my box. I used some rub-on letters here to put on washi, and then some rub-on butterflies that I found in one of my scavengers, and they are from Paper House. I've never used them before, but I have to be honest, I kind of like them. So I put those on. You see I got butterflies all the way around. I did not put anything inside, not because I didn't want to, but just because it didn't make any sense to. I'm going to be putting a bunch of washi tape in here, and I think that'll be decoration enough. And then I'm going to be covering the whole thing now that I have those on there because I don't want them to come off or chip or flake. I'm going to be covering with some Door Clear Ultra Matte. This is a polyurethane varnish, and I have some in a little cup here, and I'm going to be using a Dollar Tree paintbrush. This is from the Dollar Tree. It's called Master Stroke. It's a 3/4 inch wash brush. So we're going to be using this to apply the varnish on here. And I'm just going to put on a nice even coat of varnish. And this is probably going to take 2 coats as well. Lightly sanding between coats. I'm just going to do the outsides and the bottom right now, and I'll do the inside off camera. And then I'm going to let the whole thing dry, probably get the second coat done before I come back. Now, I do want you to pay a little bit of attention to something here. You can see as I'm going around that as I'm painting this, you see how the varnish is getting in there? Well, you have to imagine that you've gotten at least, you know, 1 or 2 coats of everything in there. So you want to be careful when you drill those holes that you drill them slightly larger than your dowels so that your dowel will fit in there once you have 4 or 5 coats of stuff in there. Okay? And it's not like you can just wipe it out and say, I don't like it. It's going to be there. So make sure that you do, you know, maybe go 1 size larger when you're drilling those holes out, okay? You don't want it so large that it falls through, but you do want it large enough that you can get it in there, okay? A little bit more right here. So as I said, I'm going to do the first coat on this, and then I will let it dry and come back after I've done a second coat. So if you're going to stop the video at this point so that you can do this because you're following along with this project, and if you are, hey, I appreciate it. Just make sure that you do 2 coats before you come back. All right, so I got that on there. I'm trying to keep, you know, from having like big globs of stuff inside those holes, but it happens. And then I'm going to use the rest of this varnish to just put the coat on the back here. Now, if you want to use like a glitter varnish or something on this, by all means do that. It is entirely up to you. I'm simply using a matte varnish. It does have a bit of a shine to it. It's not like dull, but it's not in your face. So I've got the first coat on, and the reason that I put it in this little container is because I have lids. So I can put the lid on this in between coats and I don't have to worry about it drying out. All right, we are one coat down, and just making sure I don't have any blobs. I'm gonna go ahead and let this dry, put the second coat on, and then I will be back, okay? See you in a bit. So we have our dowels, which are painted, gessoed, painted, and sealed. We have our box, which is all nicely painted and sealed. And so we need to put a cutting blade on here. Now that is where these are going to come in. Let me grab one of these. So we're going to be putting these in here, and you want to put this on the inside of the box, and you just barely want to have it sticking up, just so that that cutting edge is exposed. And I don't know if you guys can see that, but see, it's just barely there. So there's a couple of ways to do this. Now, if you don't have these, you can always use a piece of acetate, and you just do the same thing. You just put it so that it barely sticks up behind there, and you just glue that in or tack it in. And I'm going to be using some glue today. I'm going to be using some Gorilla Glue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some Gorilla Glue on the strip, and this is going to take a while to cure up. All right, Gorilla Glue. So I'm going to turn this so that I can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to put this in, and it doesn't need to go all the way to the ends. And then I'm going to use a couple of clamps here just to clamp this on. Now this will take about an hour to set up and a good 24 hours to completely cure. So I'm going to do both sides at the same time. And I'm going to let this sit until I know that these are in here and cured. At least well enough to show you the next part. I lost the lid. There it is. Okay. Let's get that on there. Now, guys, please remember, be careful with this because it is sharp. I don't want you hurting yourself. Grab a couple of extra clips here for this other side. And then again, I just want to make sure that I can just see the teeth over the side of the box here. And then I'm just going to put the clamp on it. Making sure that I can just see the teeth. I'm going to put my clamp on. And right there. Okay, so I'm going to let this set up. And once it's done, I'm going to come back and we're going to talk about how we're going to put the washi tape in and some variations that we can do to this, okay? Including how to make a double box. I'll be back in just a few minutes. So our glue is mostly dry. I'm going to let it sit overnight just to be sure, but I wanted to show you how this works out. So all I've done is put my washi tape in with the open ends going towards the outside of the box, and then just slip the dowel through. It's really simple, just put the dowel through. And you can use like a rubber band to hold this in place if you want to. Just wrap a rubber band around either end, or you could put a piece of wire around it, or you could put a bead on it, however you want to close these ends, okay? And you can have as many as fits in here. Let's keep in mind that, you know, this is a considerable distance here. This box is 6.5, just about 6.5 inches on the inside. You can get 2 rows of washi tape in there, so that's quite a bit. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I could probably put one more in there. 10. So you figure about 20 spools of washi tape will fit into one box. If you need more storage than that, here's an idea for you. You can take a second box, glue them together back to back, drill your holes, put your rods in. You could now have 10, 20, 30, 40 spools of washi tape in one piece that you can just pick up from your desk and use it to hold your washi tape. You can turn it any way that you want. And I do recommend that if you do that, you just put a board on the bottom so that your dowels don't fall through. And you would be able to store 40 pieces of washi tape in a very small area, somewhere close by your table where you would be able to look at it, see it, and go, that's the washi I want. So, hey, get out of the way. Okay, so that's it. You know, it's just an idea that came to me. I'm tired of hunting down my washi tape, trying to figure out how I can use it, and not being able to use it because it's, quite honestly, it's, you know, it's hidden someplace. So that's it. That's my little washi dispenser box. Listen, if you're new here, thank you so much for stopping by. Do me a favor, please, and hit that red button to subscribe. Like me, ring my bell, and share me with all of your friends. And then your friends can be my friends, and my friends can be your friends, and our friends can get to be friends. And after all, that is what a community is all about. Until I see you again next time, please stay safe. Bye-bye.